that is,
Yeah.
what was your worst show ever?
Oh, how long is the show?
We will edit out everything else except for this.
What is the worst show? I guess the worst. Okay, I have two worst shows. I have the worst show that left me devastated for a week. I was doing a corporate event. I auditioned for it. About 4 comics before me turned the gig down. And they told me that probably to get me to drop the price or something. I don't know why they told me that, but I'm thinking, wait a minute, I was your 5th choice. And so I go, okay, we're off to a good start, but it didn't dawn on me why the other 4 comics who were more experienced than me turned this gig down, because the money was really good. Mm. So I went and did it, and it was for a bunch of tax accountants who were wrapping up a week-long tax seminar. This was their one night before they had to go back home. And it was a dinner with a comic. And she said, well, I want you to do 45. I go, that's way too much time. You know, these guys are going to want to drink, or they want to socialize. They're going to want to blow off steam. She goes, 45 minutes. I said, okay. So I get up there and I start doing my shtick, and I got them for a little while. Then this table starts talking, and then they're getting pretty loud and they're laughing, but they're not laughing at me. So I got to save this, right? So I jump off the stage with the cordless and I go engage them, and I get them back, but the table behind me starts talking. So I run to them. Before too long, I'm running from table to table, trying to keep everybody engaged. And then I get back up on the stage and I start doing some more shtick because I got them back. The booker runs up on the stage while I'm performing and says, the client doesn't want you to do the dirty stuff anymore. And I looked at him and I go, what dirty stuff? He goes, I have no idea. I go, I didn't do any dirty stuff. And he says, she doesn't want you doing the dirty, so you got to clean it up. I'm doing clean. I didn't do it. And so from then on, everything I said, I was like, oh my God. So I just started telling stories. I started telling stories about living in Japan and the funny things that happened to me. And I went from doing stand-up comedy to just doing, being a story guy. And then finally I just said, you know what? I don't care if they don't pay me. I'm done. And my confidence was shattered after that. The client was so angry at me. The booker called me and said, I have no idea what was going on. I'm so sorry. The booker apologized. So that one was a gig from hell. The other one that turned out nice, I was doing a gig in a restaurant, and probably 60 or 70 people there. And they paid out like a $10, $15 cover charge. It was kind of an upscale restaurant. And the MC was so bad. He started insulting the audience when they wouldn't laugh at his jokes. Then he'd explain the jokes. He goes, what's wrong with you? This stuff is funny. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. And then he walked about 40 people. They got up and said, we're done. And they walked out. And he's like, where are you going? You coming back? We got some funny people coming up. And I'm just like, oh my God, the producer totally lost control of the show. So the next comic gets up and he's doing okay, but some more people are leaving. Then some lady walking by runs onto the stage and grabs the microphone away from him and starts singing a cappella. Like it was some kind of, amateur karaoke night without the karaoke. And he let that go on. And I'm about crying. At this point, I'm sitting in a booth with my head on the table. Now we're down to 2 couples.
Oh no.
And all right, you guys ready for the headliner? All right, here comes Jim Taylor. And one of the couples stood up, and I jumped off the stage and I go, look, I will buy your drinks if you stay. And so they sat down. So I got back up on the stage. I go, what am I doing? I got off the stage and I went to their table. It was 2 couples sitting at 2 different tables side by side. I did 45 minutes for those 4 people. And I had the best time of my life. Wow. They were laughing. They were engaging. It was for 4 people. It was down from 60. But I remember before I went up, and I wish I could give credit to the comedian who said it, but for the life of me, I can't remember. But I was watching some show, and there was an A-lister on the show being interviewed, and he said, I don't care if I'm performing for 1,000 people or 10 people. Those 10 people paid, and damn it, they're getting a show. And I went, oh, man. So I thought about that, and I went, okay, these 4 people paid for a show, and I'm gonna do it. And it was a disaster. I mean, one comic, when there's only like 6 people in a room, was just talking to the other comics from the stage. I mean, the show was over. It was done. So I wound up having fun. And when it got all done, I hung out with the couples. And one guy, sounds a little corny, but he was kind of goofy anyway. But he shook my hand and said that was magical.
Wow.
And it's a little corny in the way, but at the time, it was so cool because I was dreading going up there. Just, I hate my job. I totally hate this. And it turned out being one of the best nights I ever had for 4 people.